Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of Westminster's Mayor and Common Council. Council meets here at City Hall on the second and fourth Mondays every month. Please note that council meetings, although open to the public here at City Hall, are also available and streamed live on the city's YouTube page, as well as the Community Media Center channel and website. Now it begins, we do every meeting with the pledge to the flag, followed by a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. Thank you. As a courtesy to everyone, please take a moment to silence your cell phones, any other electronic devices you have that might ring or use. Thank you. Copies of tonight's agenda and the entire information packet that the council will be using are available online on the city's website. And I believe that there are hard copies of the agenda itself here in the front of the room. We have two presentations tonight, but we're going to start with one very important presentation we're going to make. And I just want to note as we begin doing that, that we're pleased to have a couple of members of the city's Board of Zoning Appeals for this tonight, Mr. Larry Barrett and Mr. Scott Graff. Gentlemen, thank you for attending tonight. Mayor Becker.
Right, so I think we could say endless things about Colonel Cramer's contributions to the city of Westminster and to the county in general, and his long dedication to those two municipalities, which we're very grateful for. So we have a mayoral proclamation recognizing Colonel Edward J. Cramer, U.S. Army retired. Whereas Colonel Edward J. Cramer had a long and honorable career in the military, serving for 29 years in the Army. And Colonel Edward J. Cramer has lived in Westminster with his wife, Marilyn, since 1990. And Colonel Edward J. Cramer was first nominated to the City of Westminster Board of Zoning Appeals by Mayor Dayhoff, with nominations following from Mayor Ferguson, Utz, Dominic, and Becker. And Colonel Edward J. Cramer attended Leadership Carroll in 2004. And Colonel Edward J. Cramer has been a great community partner, participating on the Network Task Force, the Wakefield Valley Task Force, the Public Safety Advisory Council, and the Westminster Police Department's Community Policing Program. And now, therefore, I, Dr. Mona Becker, the Mayor of the City of Westminster, join the members of the Common Council and the city staff in presenting this proclamation and expressing our collective gratitude and thanks for the 18 years of dedicated service and devoted contributions to the City of Westminster. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor.
Get in here. Would you like to say a few words?
A few. First of all, thank you, Ms. Mayor. And I have a history with every one of the people sitting up here behind this desk and a few others on the periphery as well. And I'd just like to say thank you to all of you for putting trust in me to serve. Service has been in my blood for a long time, 29 years in the military, but it didn't start there. It started back in my childhood, really. And was encouraged by my faith, by my schools, and it's just something that'll still be there. And I'm available on a more limited basis. I chose to retire to put more time into home and health and family, which I think comes to everybody at some point in their lives when it's become, it always has been the most important. But it's time now to really dedicate that time. 29 years in the military was a good stint. Fortunately, I married a woman who was married into an Air Force family. Grew up in an Air Force family. So she knew what she was in for to some degree, but it all worked out. I want to thank the former mayor here, who was the one who tapped me to start with. And it goes from there through all the other mayors that have been mentioned. I've got a little bit of history with every person sitting up here to some degree. I actually challenged to be on this council against Mr. Pecoraro. When I think it was, who was it that left at that time? That was, who became county.
It was Dennis Franklin.
Dennis
It
Franklin,
was
I
Dennis.
think when Dennis left his council, that's when, didn't that when he came on board? Anyway, it was in, that was who I was competing against initially. The fellowship that he left for the rest of that term. And then I subsequently got encouraged by one of your predecessors, and Dr. Wack, to run for this council. And I initially put my name in the hat, and then after taking a hard look and talking to several people in the community, I decided, no, I couldn't devote the time that it was going to take to do that. So I admire all of you for what you do. I think we have a great community here. As mentioned, I've been here since 1990s, and I intend to stay as long as I can. And I have really enjoyed my time in serving the community. We have a great community. Let's keep it that way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Always good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thank you, Colonel.
Thank you, Colonel. It's a pleasure to have had you here tonight, and thank you very much for all your service. And be sure that although you're retiring, I'm sure we'll find individual opportunities for you to still help us out.
I stand as ready as I can.
Also, just please note that Mayor Dominic, former Mayor Joe Dominic, is here with us tonight. Mayor, thank you. It's always great to see you. And finally, when Dr. Julia Jaskin became president of McDaniel College, one of the things that she promised as her outreach to the city was to frequently send members of the senior staff to college here to visit with us, to share a little bit about what's happening up on the hill, and to take back up to the college leadership what's happening in the city. We're pleased to have Mr. David Sears, the Vice President for Institutional Advancement, here with us. Usually when the Vice President for Institutional Advancement comes, you're asking for money. But in this case tonight, he's just here to tell us what's going on. So, well, thanks a lot. You're right. Thanks for coming tonight. Welcome. Please, can I share anything?
Oh, sure, real quick. So first of all, today is actually the first day of the spring semester, and we welcomed more than a dozen transfer students on Friday to the Hill. So that was great to see them come here. We're looking forward at McDaniel to participating in the Downtown Business Association meeting in February. We're actually going to send 2 to 3 representatives so that we can make sure that we're communicating with and partnering with as many of the businesses downtown. And as part of that, I want to let you know that June 2nd and the 4th is our alumni weekend. That's when we have our reunion classes coming back to the Hill. And we'll be asking them to shop and dine downtown as much as possible, in addition to the festivities we have on campus. And then I want to let you know one of our strategic plan key performance indicators actually revolves around our Westminster alumni and getting them engaged both with the college and the community. So one of the first things that we're doing is bringing as many of our Westminster alumni back to campus in March to do some mentoring and networking with our seniors who will be graduating next. And finally, as an advancement individual, I can't help but talk about fundraising. So I want to let you know that right now we've raised about $4.75 million towards our $7.5 million goal. A lot of that's going towards scholarship, renovation of the Hartman Pavilion, renovations to our dorms, and a number of other projects. And I actually want to let you know that more than 24 local businesses have already donated to our Carroll County Student Grant Program, which provides scholarships for Carroll County residents to attend. And finally, I can let you know that one of the things we're also doing is we're in the midst of a campaign planning study, which is a fundraising effort, a comprehensive one over the next 5 years. And we're in that study to determine whether we can raise about between 50 and 60 million to support the needs of the college, whether it's facilities, scholarships, programs, et cetera.
Well, very good. Well, thank you for coming, and please, thank Dr. Davenport. We appreciate her continued partnership and the reinvigorated relationship between the city and the college. Now we'll consider the approval of the minutes. We have minutes from the meeting of the Mayor and Common Council on January 9th, 2023. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
The motion by Mr. Dayhoff, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Mr. Hawk. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, and the ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. Next item is our consent calendar. We have 2 items on the consent calendar. We have a motion to approve.
I'll second.
The motion by Ms. Gilbert and a second by Mr. Dayhoff. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. I seem to have it, and the ayes have it, and the consent calendar is approved. Next item is the mayor, Dr. Becker.
Hey, thank you, sir. So it's been a busy 2 weeks, not only in Westminster, but also in Annapolis. Last week, I was able to spend some time in Annapolis for Governor Moore's and Lieutenant Governor Miller's swearing in. Melanie attended with me, and we spent the day with Mayor Lake of Sykesville and Mayor Slavin of Somerset. So we were a jolly group sitting in the seats for Governor Moore's swearing in. I just wanted to mention that Westminster made a mention in the governor's comments, the only city mentioned outside of the governor's hometown in his adopted city of Baltimore. While I was there, I ran into Ambassador Prick, Estonian's ambassador to the United States, and his family, and I just wanted to pass on that they reiterated that they so enjoyed their time in Westminster over the holidays, as well as the Christmas card that was sent on behalf of the city to their residents in Washington, D.C., and they still talk about their time in Westminster to their family members and friends that come and visit. I also had the opportunity on that day to talk to Representative Rupesberger and Senator Van Hollen and personally thank them for their work on behalf of the city in the federal budget requests that were granted in December of 2022 that will assist the city for our water recycling facility and the water main project on 27. On Saturday, the 21st, I attended, along with our city administrator, Recreation and Parks' very first adaptive recreation winter ball at the rec center from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. This was the first event of its kind sponsored by the Recreation and Parks Department, and I can report that a great time was had by everyone that was there. It was a really fun evening that they had at the Rec and Park Center on Longwell. And then finally, I have joined the community work group that is covered by Dr. Richard Smith at McDaniel College with a focus on community in Westminster and its relationships with McDaniel. And we have our first meeting this Friday. And that is all we have.
Right, thank you, Dr. Becker. I'll move on now to reports from standing committees. Begin as we always do with our liaison to the Carroll County Arts Council, Mr. Dayhoff.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had an exciting program for Martin Luther King Day at the Carroll Arts Center. We had a hip hop performer by the name of Bamani Arma, who gave a performance about literacy and in particular Frederick Douglass. It was well attended and it was done extremely well. And we look forward to having Bamani back to Westminster in the future for some future programming. Having a performance that discussed Frederick Douglass was a lot of fun because Frederick Douglass actually came to Westminster in 1870 and spoke. And at the time, he was considered to be one of the world's renowned orators and writers. And I think it's kind of neat that we had that performance. The Peep Show is going to come up soon. Registration begins on February the 1st. We have a lot of excellent programming over at the Arts Council. I encourage everyone to go to the website. The website's done extremely well, and pick out any number of performances, films, and other arts and cultural events that are happening at the Arts Council. Brings a lot of people into town. Thank you, Mr. President. That's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Dayhoff. For the Economic and Community Development Committee, Mr. Hoff.
Mr. President, I have nothing to report this time.
Thank you. For the Finance Committee, I'll report that, we are beginning the budget process, and looking forward to consultations with the city administrator and finance director as they prepare a budget for the mayor to submit, and look forward to working our way through that. City's finances, I think, continue to be pretty healthy, and we're looking forward to doing our best to make wise decisions about how to spend those funds in the city. Personnel Committee, Ms. Gilbert.
I just want to make folks aware that we still have a few positions for Westminster City that are available. Please check out our website. We have great benefits, terrific staff, great leadership. So check out the full descriptions, and applications are online. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Gilbert. Mr. Kavachi, Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. On January 17th of 23, Mr. Hayden Van Trice started as the department's body worn camera coordinator. Mr. Van Trice will coordinate video footage requested for discovery by the state's attorney's office, as well as a host of additional duties related to the body worn camera program. On the 17th, also, Officer Jamil Lee received the designation of the 2022 fourth quarter Westminster Police Department Officer of the Quarter for exemplary performance during this period. And also on the 19th, Dispatcher Sarah Billington received the designation of the 2022 fourth quarter Westminster Police Department Civilian Employee of the Quarter for her accomplishments regarding dispatcher field training during this period. Detectives assigned to the Criminal Investigation Bureau have continued to work hard to identify, charge suspects in several significant investigations. Their case closure rate continues to be extremely impressive and is primarily due to the solid detective work, solid skills in their hard detective work. And I think we all can attest to that. It seems like every time we have an incident, darn if they don't figure out who it is and end up getting them charged. I think much more often than not. So I think we're very fortunate. I would proffer that we probably have the best detectives in the county, and maybe some of the best in the state. We're very fortunate, especially the leader of that department is a heck of a good job. So that's all I have, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kavachi. And would you like to continue with the Public Works Committee?
Well, Mr. President, I have no public works report this evening, so.
All right, very good. Well, thank you very much. All right. Move on to Recreation and Parks, Mr. Dayhoff.
No report this evening, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dayhoff. On behalf of Technology Committee, I'll report that our meeting that we had planned for tomorrow has had to be rescheduled due to some scheduling conflicts, but we're going to be meeting on February 9th instead. Look forward to getting together at that time. And now move on to council comments and discussion. The opportunity for council members to share anything else they'd like to discuss that isn't elsewhere on the agenda or wasn't in the committee report. And we'll begin with Mr. Kavachi.
I have none, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Kavachi. Mr. Dayhoff.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tomorrow will be the annual point in time count of the homeless in Carroll County. It's an important initiative to try and gauge some metrics as to how well we're doing with folks that could use a helping hand. I think that'll be my report, Mr. President. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gilbert.
I have a couple of things. I'll go back to our last council meeting on January 10th. There was a State of the County at the Carroll Arts Center. I attended. It was great to get to know some of the new county commissioners, considering we have 4. And hearing your vision and thoughts. It was a nice way to meet and greet, or continue to meet and greet, I guess. One could say. The following day, the MML legislative reception was held in Annapolis, and Councilman Huff and myself attended. And we were able to speak with our colleagues and newly elected officials also. We also were able to have a brief speech from Governor Wes Moore. So that was a nice treat. The Legislative Affairs Committee, sponsored by the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce, had their first meeting today. It's the first meeting of the year. So discussion will be on the new proposed House and Senate bills regarding Carroll County businesses. So if anybody has anything they're concerned about or would like us to take a look at, just email me. And I know Mayor Becker already mentioned it, but I wanted to take a little bit of time and thank Sarah for our $5,095,000 worth of, I think she kind of jokingly said was her Christmas gift to the city of Westminster. But it's Senator Van Hollen's office notified us that we were a recipient of those two earmarks, one for $2,945,000 for water reuse and another for $2,150,000 for a water main replacement. It kind of sounds simple, but that was a lot of paperwork and a lot of work from her and from Jeff Glass, who helped Sarah with a lot of knowledge and information. So I wanted to thank both of those for those funds and keep those OPMs coming.
Thank you, Mayor.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Ms. Gilbert. Mr. Hawk.
Mr. President, I have nothing to add.
All right, thank you. Sure, I'll just mention briefly that I also had the opportunity to go down to participate in some of the inaugural activities last week for the governor and lieutenant governor, as well as for the new comptroller who live there. So I had the opportunity to attend her event as well. Great to see a lot of folks and remind them that there's been a lot going on here in Westminster, and we're always happy to have support from the state as we pursue those things. Along which line, at the beginning of the session, I also had the opportunity to go down on behalf of the city for a visit with the chair of the Senate Budget Committee and to talk about some of the things that we're hoping Annapolis is going to help us with this year, and also with some other legislators at that time as well. So we're on the case. We very much appreciate the strong support we got from our federal representatives, from Senator Van Hollen and Senator Cardin, and helping us with the earmark that the administrators so assiduously pursued on our behalf. And but there's always more that we need to get done, and so we'll always keep looking for support to do that. And with that, move on. Under unfinished business, we have one item of unfinished business. An update on the police generator department, and with that, we'll turn to the Deputy Director of Public Works, Mr. Dick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Back in November, the Mayor and Common Council approved the replacement of the police station generator. The replacement was to operate on a natural gas fuel source, which after a site visit with the contractor, it was discovered that there was a Carroll County code, NEC 2017, Chapter 701, relating to the legality of using natural gas as a fuel supply for emergency facilities housing 911 operation, which our police station does house at. I did confirm this code with the electrical inspector of Carroll County, along with our electrical engineer who guided us through the design of this project. With this change and talking to them about other options, we are now looking at a propane option for the generator. It will be the same generator, but run off of propane. But with doing that change at this time, we're going to put it back out to bid and see what we get back on. But that's where we're at. It kind of caught everybody off guard, including the engineering firm that we had on board, because they identified certain fire stations that had it, but because there's not one being housed in the police station, they would have to have a dual source, which then would have been propane with natural gas. That if natural gas would ever be cut off, it had to have at least a 2-hour window for it to run on propane. So after weighing all that with electrical engineer on board and the contractor, clearly we weren't gonna put both in. So kind of settled on the propane option.
That sounds remarkably similar to the kind of concern that took a lot.
No,
Originally.
I wasn't gonna say that.
I know. I said it for you, Mr. Classy. Well, thank you, Mr. Dick. Any questions for Mr. Dick on this? All right, well, thank you for following up on this and keeping it informed. We'll look forward to hearing, how the week that we go. Under new business, we have one item, and I'll turn to Mr. Kavachi for a motion.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I have glasses on here.
And you want to use your.
Okay, Mr. President, I move that the common council adjourn into a closed meeting at the conclusion of the mayor and common council meeting of Monday, January 23rd, 2023, in accordance with the general provisions of Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland 3-305 subsection B subsection 1 to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this body has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals, and subsection B8 to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kavachi. May I have a second to the motion?
I will second.
The motion by Mr. Kavachi and a second by Mr. Hoff to go into a closed meeting at the conclusion of the regular meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
For the opposed, say nay. The ayes seem to have it, and the ayes have it, and we will do so at the end of the regular meeting. I will now move on to departmental reports. For that, we'll turn to our city administrator, Ms. Imples.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Councilmember Gilbert, for your kind words about the earmarks that the city staff has brought in a little over $7 million in grant funds in the past about 16 months, which is enormous. And I'm really proud of all of the jobs that we have done. Thank you. As the mayor indicated, I had a chance to attend the accessibility ball on Saturday, which was very fun. And I will make sure to attend every year moving forward. I just want to take a moment to thank the Recreation and Parks Department. This was sort of their brainchild on a month where they are essentially off from hosting events. They came in on a Saturday to host an event from 6 to 8 for a group of citizens who was sometimes underrepresented. And they put on a spectacular event. It looked like prom. It felt like prom. Everyone was having a really good time. So I want to thank the department for your efforts on that, for coming out on a Saturday evening to spend your time with us. So with no further ado, we will start with the Recreation and Parks Department. Ms. Cramer.
Thank you for your kind words and your support in turning out to see our first annual Adaptive Rec Winter Ball. It was a great time. On a morning where we woke up to a little snow, we are still selling pool memberships and registering children for our summer camp program. So snowflakes didn't daunt our phone callers today as we continue to briskly answer and register those requests for memberships and summer camp registrations. Additionally, tomorrow we are meeting on site at Wakefield Valley Park with the Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay Foundation in preparation for our 22-acre reforestation that's going to happen this spring. And we're also going to be discussing hosting a live staking demonstration at Wakefield. And live staking, for those of you that don't know, you can actually take the woody parts of trees, some species anyway, like dogwood and black willow, and cut them and stick them in the ground, and they propagate and grow into a tree. So we are hoping to launch that workshop and have it advertised before the end of February. So certainly good things are happening on the Wakefield Valley reforestation front, and we are benefiting from some educational workshops in our partnership with the Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. That concludes my report, unless there are questions.
Are there any questions for the Recreation Department? Hearing none, we'll move on to Public Works Department, Deputy Director Dick.
Thank you, Ms. Imples. Real quick, this morning was no reaction. I was first time worked out in our favor. Almost everybody was in. about the time it started snowing. So we threw some salt on the trucks and headed out. So that actually went really smooth compared to how it could have went if it would have been about an hour and a half earlier. Rather than that, just two quick notes on the engineering side. The Wakefield Valley Pavilion bid was extended that to February 10th after the amount of questions that we got from the three contractors that showed up on site and did a walkthrough that we had about a week and a half ago. A lot of questions, and the more questions we get, the better price we're gonna get. So Ms. Cramer and I just got about extending it an extra 2 weeks to give them time to get their pricing together. So that happened, and today we actually had our pre-construction meeting for the I&I project for this year, and that went really smooth. They plan on starting probably in 2 weeks with doing some lining work. They have the materials already in-house, and I don't see any problems with that, so that'll be happening real soon as well. That's all I have.
Are there any questions from the Public Works Department?
I have one.
Sorry?
Will we run into a point of diminishing returns on the I&I project? At some point when we have pretty much done all we can do?
Yeah, there's a possibility. The goal there will be to constantly go back there, and so sewer lines that we looked at this point even 7 years ago. Once we get to that 10-year mark, really should be going back and relooking at those sewer lines to make sure nothing's changed. So eventually it should get smaller and smaller over time, but we're still in the finding the big stuff and fixing things. So I think it'll be some time till that actually starts to diminish off a little bit. Our next phase will be our big diameter pipes that we don't have the capability of viewing. So that'll probably be our next contract, is to get all the big pipe videos, so we know if there's any problems and where there might be leaking. So that'll be a whole year just for that. So yes, over time, we would like to think that starts to dwindle.
If for the big pipe, I mean, we've already saved a fair amount of inflow given what we've done. And is it possible, or do you think there's a possibility these larger pipes might even yield greater numbers?
Yeah, some of those lie, of course, sewer lines always lie in low areas. We have some very large pipe laying, actually down through Wakefield on Cough Branch, very wet area. If there's separation there, that could very well be an area that is of concern. We just have never been able to video that.
That's very good news. I mean, if it continues to drive that number down, I think that's a really positive thing, because we've seen a significant decrease,
Right.
Even in storms, correct?
Oh,
In terms of our
The amount of water we've seen.
that's really great.
Councilmember Kavanaugh. We're currently budgeting $1 million a year, as you know, for I&I, and I'm not anticipating that we'll be able to let up on that anytime soon, if at all. It's gonna be something like the paving plan, where we're just gonna have to keep looking after those assets.
Well, I wasn't really asking the question shockingly, because I'm looking to save money, because I know that's what you're always thinking I'm doing, but actually I was looking at it in terms of how it benefits us from staying under that 5 million gallon cap, and I think we've already made a lot of headway doing that. And I was curious if we've kind of gone as far as we can, but it sounds like that's not the case. Sounds like we may see that number continue to be driven down, which, now in hindsight, maybe it wasn't so bad that we didn't gain additional capabilities when we did the project out there. It just sounds like to me like we're gonna stay under it for maybe quite some time. That's good. Yeah, it's money well spent.
Since it's here, we should note that this was an initiative begun by Mayor Donald. So thanks for him for having set us down the path.
Good point.
Any other questions from the Public Works Department?
I have one.
Sorry.
Where are we with the road relay project?
As of right now, we postpone that until we start to see the asphalt index come down.
Okay,
It's still.
that's smart. Okay, good. I anticipated that answer, but okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ingles.
Are there any other questions for the Public Works Department? Seeing none, hidden in the audience over here, we have the Finance Department. Ms. Rogers?
Thank you, Ms. Ingalls. Good evening. As President Pecoraro mentioned, we are starting our fiscal 2024 budget process. For the staff in the room, you should receive some initial reports tomorrow. I'm a day late, but trying to make them in good order for you. But I do have, along the budget front, some good news to share. And I'm going to read a little bit for you. We applied, as we have for many years, for the Government Finance Officers Association Distinguished Budget Award. And I was recently notified that we received that award for our 2022 year, which is actually the fiscal 23 budget. So for those that are not familiar with it, GFOA established that Distinguished Budget Presentation Award program in 1984 to encourage and assist state and local governments to prepare budget documents of the very highest quality that reflect both the guidelines established by the National Advisory Council on State and Local Budgeting and the GFOA's best practices on budgeting, and then to recognize individual governments that succeed in achieving that goal. Approximately 1,800 governments, including states, cities, counties, special districts, school districts, and more, have been recognized for transparency in budgeting. To earn recognition, budget documents must meet program criteria and excel as a policy document, financial plan, operations guide, and communication tool. So if you go out on the gfoa.org website, you can see we've been awarded now 12 times for the city of Westminster, which is a great achievement. The 2020 and the 2021 listing is out there. The 2022 is a partial list and we're not posted yet, but I assure you that we were awarded that. As I mentioned, there's quite a number of people that apply each year for organizations that do about 1,700 with over 400 volunteers reviewing those. So it's pretty taxing to get that submitted, from what I understand. I'll have my first go around at that this year, but it's a very distinguished award, so I'm pleased to share with you that that was awarded to us. That concludes my report. If you have any questions.
I'm very proud of that particular award because we did not have a finance director at the time. So that was a bunch of newbies putting that one together, but we managed to get that done and done well. Thank you. Do we have any questions for the finance department? Further hidden in the audience, we have human resources department. Ms. McCullough.
Good evening. As Ms. Gilbert mentioned, the city is recruiting for a few positions. At this time, you can go to the city's website to obtain an application and apply for those positions. We're also have been conducting multiple interviews in effort to close in on some candidates for those positions that we have available. So that list is closing in sooner than later. So I'm excited about that. That concludes my report.
Are there any questions for the human resources department? Hearing none, we'll move on to the planning department. Mr. Depot.
Thank you and good evening. I'm happy to say I'm one of those groups trying to close in on somebody to fill out my team. Fingers crossed. The January 19th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting was canceled. We did have a site development plan that was tentatively allocated or scheduled. However, due to a recent landscape modification request and some development design preference comments, we removed that. We are meeting with the developer in hopes that we can get that on for next month. So hopefully I have some good news for you on that. The simplified site plan for the addition of the Amy's Laundry at 271 East Main Street has been recently approved, and we will be requesting signature sets from her for that. And that completes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Depot. Are there any questions for the planning department? Hearing none, we will move on to the housing department. Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Good evening, everyone. I wanted to just update you on our visit to Bishop Garden Apartments. As you know, on the 5th of January, we went out there. The mayor was gracious enough to come out and listen to the concerns that the residents have. Then we inspected. between 15 and 17 apartments while we were there. And some of the common issues we found were windows that were old. Some could not open. We found instances of chipping, flaking paint, either in the window sills or around the windows. We also observed there were bed bug infestations, insect infestation, and rodent infestation in a number of the apartments. There were issues where we found there were leaks under the kitchen sinks, cabinet drawers missing, or just not there. If they were there, in some cases, they were just partial drawers. There were instances in which bathtubs had missing handles, and there was one instance in which one lady's house, the shower balls had caved in, and when she got ready to take the shower, she had to put plastic over the shower so she could take a shower. There were several units we went in which the bathtub glazing had just basically flaked away, and they couldn't use the bathtub because of that problem. And there were just about every apartment we went into, there was an issue with the fresh air vent being just really filthy, dirty. And the workmanship in all of the units that we went in, the workmanship where someone went in to make repairs to drywall, they did not finish the work. Some of it looked like they had just started and just left the drywall patch there and put the drywall mud over it, and it had dried, and it just went away, and it was on the walls, the ceiling. There were instances in which we found trip hazards where carpet was torn, and people could trip over those. Some examples of possible mold in the units. The furnaces that were in the apartment, they're old. Some of the utility rooms just had dirt and junk just thrown in. Somebody had been in there and they just left a whole bunch of stuff in there. So on this past Friday, Ryan, the code enforcement officer, and I went and met with the property manager to share what we had observed and to establish timelines for getting those things completed. Everything will be completed within 48 hours to as long as 30 days. There are some items that it's going to take longer than 30 days because they're capital items, like redoing the HVAC system, and also redoing and the cabinet and the windows. Those things are going to be capital items. The next thing we will be doing, and we've already started the process of compiling this information with timelines for each apartment, and then that's going to go out to each one of the residents whose unit we inspected. We expect to finish that within the next day or two. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Mr. Brown, thank you for, I guess Mother Nature is to really be thanked, because if it wouldn't have been for the deep freeze and the broken pipes, a lot of this would not have been brought to your attention or our attention for that matter. Because many of those problems, as you well probably observed, have been there for multiple years. So my question is, after this is all over and everything's fixed, will the residents and/or will you set up a communicational system so that the residents, new residents, because a lot of them move in and out of there on a routine basis, can contact you regularly when there are continuing problems?
Yes, ma'am. either formally or it appears as though they're already doing it. But yes, we will set up a mechanism where they know if they have an issue or complaint, they can file it with, they can contact our office, and then we'll go out and follow up as we normally do any complaint inspection.
Thank you.
Mr. President. So what year was that facility built?
I believe it was built in 1979.
So it's post lead paint.
Yeah.
So the flaking is not really an issue with lead, it's just an issue with deterioration. Okay. Thank you.
Once again, you know, Mr. Brown, I know I've said it in the last couple meetings, but thank you. I really appreciate the work that you've put into not only this issue, but everything that you do for the city.
I give a lot of credit to Ryan as well, because he was ducking under things and looking under places, and yeah, he put in a lot of work to help get this stuff.
Please extend my thanks.
I
Right, thank you, sir.
Mr. President. I just want to mention that, and we have talked a little bit about it off and on council over the past year, one-on-one or otherwise. Just for our benefit again, economic and development, one of the agenda items that we do plan on looking at this upcoming year is relooking at a rental licensing program. And unfortunately, I think that the condition of, what we're talking about right now is one of the examples of why we have to relook at that program. And do it in a thoughtful way. But at this point in time, as the person who chaired that committee way back when, I forget how long it was, I think it is time that we relook at it and make it better so that it's less likely that these conditions can kind of go on like they were, because frankly, it was because of bursted pipes that we became aware of it, where if there was some sort of regular inspection regime, we would have known about it much sooner as a city. So I just wanted to flag that for everybody, that for our committee, it's definitely on the radar screen to address and then bring something back to council at some point this year. Thank you, Mr. President.
Are there any other questions for the housing director?
What is the nature of the current inspection program?
The current,
Was there an inspection program for the housing out there?
well,
I mean, I thought we addressed some of that years ago with the livability code and some of the other initiatives.
well, there is. No.
Okay.
We're currently,
Well, then we need to address that.
What we do is if there's a complaint, it's a complaint.
It's a complaint driven.
It's a complaint driven system.
We need to address that.
Or if someone calls and complain about something, then we go and address it based on the complaint that we get.
Okay. I really appreciate all your work out there. I really do. Thank you. Mr. Huff, we'll look forward to moving forward with that. We've been talking about it for a number of years. I think it's about time that, Mr. President, we can get moving on that. Because I think it's something that we need to do. Thank you.
are there any other questions for the housing director? Seeing none, we will move on to the police department.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Over this past weekend, our patrol officers apprehended an organized theft group who had hit both the Ulta Beauty Store and the Walgreens for expensive fragrance products. And based on this apprehension, other regional police departments are in contact with us, and we're coordinating some of that intel to them because evidently this group had gotten around. Our detectives identified and charged the individual responsible for a serious assault inside of Jones on New Year's Eve. So that charging document, arrest warrant was served. Our patrol officers apprehended several juveniles responsible for graffiti and joyriding construction equipment. at the WTTR property construction site and thefts from Safeway. So we closed that one.
Mayor, don't get any ideas.
Why are you looking at me? I mean, that would be something that would.
Like I'm sorry.
And we made some updates to the city website. We put our recruitment video in there and we're currently working on some innovative strategies to, we don't want to ever compromise the background investigation we do and try to expedite that, but we are going to try to put together like a one-day testing where we can get through like the written tests, the oral boards, do a cursory background check just to make sure that there aren't any disqualifiers and do the physical ability testing all in one day. So hopefully we can get our entry-level applicants on board in a quicker time frame. And we're starting to see some lateral lease applicants coming through the site. So we're excited about getting them into the background process.
And I think a large part of that is because of the budget decision that the council made how long ago was that? A couple months ago. So thank you again for your support that there. It's definitely been noticed throughout the area. Sorry, I interrupted you. Does anyone have any questions for the police department? Councilmember Jayhawk, do you have anything for the fire department?
No, ma'am, be careful out there. We're going through a lot of accidents.
Mr. President, that concludes the departmental reports.
All right, thank you very much, President House. And the final item on our agenda is citizen comment, where we invite the public to address the mayor and council on any issues that pertain to tonight's agenda or any other city issue. For citizens not attending the public meeting, we invite you to send comments or concerns via email at comments@westminstermd.gov. All comments received by email will be shared with the mayor and council. Commenters should include their address and phone numbers with their comments. We'll now invite comments from anybody who's here present this evening. If anybody would like to make a comment, please give us your name and address for the record. Would you like to hear? Colonel Cramer.
Hey, Cramer, 371 Wingfoot Drive. I was remiss keeping my remarks short earlier. Not to give accolades to this man right here, Larry Barrett, for being my left-hand person. That's where I always sat on the board, and happy to see that he will move into the position of being the chair. He's been a great help. If elected, he says. Make sure he gets elected, right? And the other persons that I need to recognize both by name, Mr. Depo. It's been a pleasure to work with Mark and his staff. And Ms. Imholtz, I want to thank you just on the overall. We only met and talked once. You never came back to say, how you doing? So I guess we were doing all right. And our legal counsel, please, also with Karen Ruff, would you please say thanks to her again? I did. I think the overall administration is an example of how well this community, this council, this city staff works together. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else, Mr. Hart?
We should have a former mayor's.
Well, we can't require that of anymore. That's on the volunteer basis. All right, and that concludes our agenda and the meeting. And we're going to a closed session at the conclusion of this. Thank you all for coming. Good night.